You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking, you're always looking for and finding the good. We have good in abundance. It's just overflowing. We're going to have goodness with light and bridges and upbeat, informative, transformative processes today. And thank you for tuning in to the Joy of Living podcast with your humble host, Barry Shore. We are honored that you have made the choice to consciously and conscientiously tune into the Joy of Living, because you know that on this show, we work with the three fundamentals of life. And when you use these three fundamentals, you will be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? And the reason you tuned in is just because of that, because you care the most in the entire world about you, which is great. Because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges. We'll talk about that, of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And I'm happy to tell you at this very moment that you are joined by 348,613 people around the world who all have chosen to tune in to the Joy of Living podcast with your humble host, Barry Shore, specifically because we're here to make a difference. So the three fundamentals of life are, number one, life has purpose. That's right. Your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number two happens. Now, in this case, a good number two, you go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. You lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And number three is to unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simple example. Right now, if you ask anybody, this show is being carried over the internet worldwide. Ask anybody, what does WW stand for? And they'll invariably tell you it has to do with the internet. Now, factually speaking, they're correct. But in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, WWW stands for what a wonderful world. And what is a word, right? WHATA. And whenever you hear the opening bars of that fabulous song, What a Wonderful World, thank God for Satchmo, Louis Armstrong, for making it go viral and touching not just tens of millions or hundreds of millions, but billions of people around the planet. What do you do right away? You hear the opening bars, you smile. You can't help it. Now, smile is one of the most important words you can ever internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life, because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. Seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I can tell you that I speak now again, thank God, no more masks and real people. I'm speaking to people and doing my seminars as well as my webinars. And recently we had a wonderful group of about 1,176 people. And I'm telling the story about Barry Shore, and I'm talking about seeing miracles in life every day. And some people raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours. I haven't seen any miracles. And I ask them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. Do you have water to drink, you have food to eat, you have a place to sleep, you have family, you have friends? Every single one of those is a miracle. And what's the proof? Simplest proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching or listening, it means that you're here. And you now have an obligation to live life to the full, to live life exuberantly. It's an obligation. Let me tell you a quick story. Imagine the following. Standing up in the morning, hale and hearty, that's me, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, and that evening being in the hospital totally, completely paralyzed. What's known as a quadriplegic. Nothing in my body moved, my neck out. Not an automobile accident, not a spinal injury, a rare disease which I never heard of the day before rendered me completely, totally paralyzed. I could only communicate by blinking my eyes. 144 days in the hospital. I was 2 years in a hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't turn over by myself. 4 years in a wheelchair. I had braces on both my legs, my hips to my ankles. That was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand, but so I'm a triped, not a biped. I can't walk up a curb by myself. I can't walk up a stair by myself. I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice, positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. And it's all because of one word, smile, seeing miracles in life every day. I can tell you a quick little note. My 8-year-old niece comes over to me a few weeks ago. She says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile S-M-I-E-L? I thought about it. Smile, smile. Why not? Sounds the same. How come? She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. And what was she doing? She was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a fabulous acronym that stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. Rethinking, we sometimes call it neurolinguistic programming, very fancy term for what I call shift in perspective. Now, I got to tell you, I work with tens of thousands of people over the decades, and 97.2% of all people, for some reason, drop the F in shift, and the other stuff happens. You got to be effing careful with your Fs. Shift perspective. And what happens then? Then you can understand the 6 most important words you'll ever internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life. And they are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation will really make a difference in your life. Now, before we bring on our remarkable guest today, with a great name, Gigi, wonderful Gigi. Before we bring her, I'm going to tell her in advance. I'm warning her, and thank God all the hundreds of thousands of people around the world listening. And thank you for telling your friends and family. By the time Gigi comes on, we'll have probably 365,000 people listening. I do use a lot of 4-letter words. I even use the 4-letter FU word, and I do it because of the shock value, and it's fun. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, are love, life, hope, free, gift, pray, play, swim, mind. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun, yes, F-U, capital N, capital N. Now, I know some people right away are raising their hands and say, hey, Barry, sure. Fun's only spelled with 3 letters. Not in our world. The world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. Fun is spelled F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, you see your family and friends. I want you to point your finger and tell everybody F-U. Remember to keep a smile on your face and a twinkle in your eye. Say, what's that all about? So I listen to Barry Shore on the joy of living, and he wants to teach the world to F-U. Capital N, capital N. So just before GC comes on, I'm going to urge everybody listening, to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life, and therefore make a difference for you, your family, your friends, and all living beings. And these 2 words, of course, are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks stands for to harmonize and network kindness. To harmonize and network kindness. Imagine going to the coffee shop, you order a fancy latte, you sit down, somebody brings it to you, say, thank you. You walk in the coffee shop, you order a fancy latte, nobody brings it, you go up to the counter and say, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot, we're busy. You bring it to you, a couple of minutes go by, somebody brings it, still say, thank you. You're walking out of the coffee shop, it's raining out. Somebody holds the door open for you. You say, thank you. You're walking out of the coffee shop, it's raining, somebody slams the door on you. You say, thank you. You're in traffic, you're late for an appointment, somebody cuts you off. You say, thank you. Get up in the middle of the night and you stub your toe and it hurts. You say, thank you. To harmonize and network kindness. Kind is a great word that stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. I can't think of anybody that I like to share with you that inspires noble deeds more than a wonderful, amazing Gigi. Please say hello to 366,822 people around the world.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for such an inspirational story. You know, you're not even asking me questions yet, but can I tell you a short story?
Gigi, first of all, the stage is yours, and it's such a pleasure to have you here. Let's hear a story.
So I was thinking about all of the things that you were saying, and they resonate with me so much about being happy, about being healthy, about being wealthy, and how you define wealth. But the story that I want to share with you is I have 4 children who are grown children now. But with the pregnancy of my second daughter, I went to a regular doctor's appointment, and I found myself at the end of that regular doctor's appointment when she was 28 weeks, going by ambulance to a very good hospital for children who could be born prematurely. I was dilated and I didn't know it. And I sat in that bed, and this is nothing compared to what you experienced, but on my back without moving for months. I was able to finally be released. When I was released at home, I ended up back in the hospital again. They were able to will me outside occasionally so I could see out. And all this was because every single day in the womb matters when you're growing a child. And I thought about that time when I was there and how I spent my time. I had a young daughter who was not even a year at that time who would come and visit. I spoke with friends. I did some work. But I said to myself, when, not if, but when I get out of here with my healthy baby, I will not stop moving. Now, I do stop moving to sleep, and I'm a big sleeper. But when I'm awake, I don't stop moving. And I don't stop moving because the world is full of so many miraculous things. And to your point, I have a little teeny ceramic tile that's on the doorknob handle exiting my home. And it's been in all 3 homes that I've been in over the last many years. And it says, expect miracles.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of that has to do with what you put out into the world,
Right.
and what you believe, and what you indicated is the gratitude for you and I speaking today, the gratitude for people who are able to hear us and listen, the gratitude for if you and I are inspired, or if one person who hears us is inspired and has a little bit of a life change. I always say small steps to a big goal. Then that's a job well done and time well spent.
Now, everybody listening, again, hundreds of thousands of people around the world, so many different countries and cultures and such, but we're all united in one thing, not just our humanity, but our abilities to be touched. And you have just been touched by one of the most beautiful beings on the planet. Gigi, what a great name. I'll tell you a story. It just happened to me this morning also. I actually enjoy speaking to people that work for large corporations and have the thankless job of, talking to customers that may seem to have issues. And so we had an issue, and the person I'm speaking to was so pleasant in her voice and her mannerism. I asked her name, and because she said it, but I couldn't catch it the first time. And her name is Didi, D-I-D-I. Yeah, you're laughing because this is Gigi, G-I-G-I. So I had the pleasure of already getting into flow with you, Gigi, because I spoke to Didi this morning.
There you go.
So we're talking about why we have Gigi, because Gigi is, as she says, she doesn't stop. She is an educator par excellence. She is an author, 18 books. She's an author of 4 wonderful beings, her children. She's an author. She's also the builder, the CEO of something called Lightbridge Academy. Now, this is really, truly critically important. Lightbridge Academy, it's in New Jersey. It's an educational childcare franchise company. And anything to do with educating children to become responsible accepting, gratitude-oriented adults touches my very being, because that's not just going to change the world, it is changing the world.
It is.
One by one. So let's just jump in right away, Gigi. Before I ask you the obvious question of, gee, why are you doing this and how did you do it? And, talk about the company. Let's talk about the high level piece, because that filters in down to what Lightbridge is all about. Let's talk about leadership, because I'm presuming that that's one of the channels of what Lightbridge Academy is all about. Teaching by example and by information, the transformation of little beings into leadership.
Absolutely. And we see everyone who is at Lightbridge Academy as a leader. One of our core values is lead by example. And our curriculum for young children embodies the entire child. Many parents, and understandably so, are very concerned with the academic skills of their children. But I can tell you that the majority of children learn to read and write. What's more important when we're learning in a learning environment and helping children learn is their social skills, are the soft skills, the ability to be able to interact with one another, the ability to be a leader, the ability to speak in public, that first show and tell, sharing your teddy bear or whatever is special to you is your first opportunity for public speaking. And we know through studies from the Harvard Business Review that the majority of people who get promoted don't necessarily get promoted for just their technical skills. Technical skills are important, but those who move along and those who become leaders of others are people who have social skills as well, who have an high EQ, the opportunity for me to read you and understand you and to empathize with you and try to put myself in your shoes and to try to understand, seek to understand. Don't tolerate people, but try to understand people. Everyone has a story. Everyone has a journey. It's not my responsibility to judge that journey or story, but I do firmly believe as a parent and an educator that it is about choice, and every choice has consequences. And that choice can be how we think about life, and that choice can be what we do, whether we pay our mortgage or don't pay our mortgage. And I'll tell you another quick story, and then I'll go back to your question about leadership. So I remember a time where my daughter, who was frustrated with me, and she must have been 8 or so, and she said, adults can do anything they want. And I said, you're right. I could eat until I'm unhealthy. I could not go to work. I could not pay my mortgage. I could decide to drive unsafely and hurt other people. You're right. I can do anything that I want. But what's most important is I choose those things that are good for me, that are good for others. And I also add the category of good for property and respect of people's things and materials. So to go back to the leadership piece, most all children learn to read and write. But as contributing members of society, what's important is that we grow the whole person, is that we grow considerate, loving, and kind people. And I got to tell you, Barry, I feel like I've met you before, because the things that you say resonate with me so fully to my heart. You talked about kindness. And for me, people talk about the random acts of kindness. And my terminology for kindness is intentional, consistent acts of kindness. How do I do that every day with every single person that I interact with? And my desire, and each one of our desires, should be that after this interaction with you, that you walk away in a better place and I walk away in a better place. And not because of your ego or my ego, or because one of us is superior to the other person, but simply because at the core, we are human beings and we need to care for and love and be kind to everyone who crosses our path. And that is what I hope that the children at Lightbridge Academy do. is go to some of the best higher education programs that they can get into, but they are best known as, wow, that's a very intelligent and successful person, but what a kind person. And what I say to my own children is that the success of a great man or a great woman starts with the kindness that you show others.
Gigi, let's unpack a number of things that you said here because it's voluminous and wonderful and touching. Again, you mentioned about choice, like your daughter, by the way, 8-year-olds are so wonderful. It's like my niece comes over and says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile, S-M-I-E-L? Well, why not? Okay. And she tells me why. The ability to choose is the key to life success. And again, along the way, if you've never developed it until you're an adult, it may be more difficult. But if you're brought along in an environment where you're offered the opportunity to choose and fall down, pick yourself up, et cetera, that's wonderful because now you can continue to choose better, wiser, more introspectively, more inspired all the time. You mentioned about the idea of EQ as well as IQ. Well, intelligence is one thing, but the emotional quality, that emotional quotient, that process of educating the entire child. I'd like to share with you the acronym that we use for JOY. JOY stands for Journey of You. That's joy. Isn't that wow? By the way, wow is a great acronym also. Words of wonder, words of wisdom.
Great.
People say wow all the time, right? So Journey of You is what Lightbridge. I'd like to dive in a little bit more on what Lightbridge is as a franchise. In other words, is it these are private schools, correct?
Correct.
Much like charter schools in the sense that they're, I don't want to use the term better than public schools, but it's a different orientation. In other words, the curriculum is guided towards developing the whole child. Whereas in a public institution, unfortunately, in today's environment, they can't do it. They're not either geared towards it. They've lost their way. Let's use the most positive parts of it. They probably want to do the right thing, but they're just not capable. And yet, they are more capable, right?
Absolutely. So we believe at Lightbridge Academy that every child should have access to quality care and education. So I actually work on a board at a federal level working towards making that happen. But for our particular company, is that we serve working parents and usually dual family parents who are working, sometimes single parents. And so we are open early in the morning to in the evening, year round, so that parents can have their children educated and at the same time cared for as they're working themselves. And so it's an opportunity for children to explore that wonder that you talked about, that love of learning, to have an environment that's safe and healthy so that parents can have peace of mind while they're at work. And the other thing that we're able to do based on this business model that we've used for the last 25 years, and while we have 17 of our own schools that are corporately run, we also have franchise centers that are run. And that gives people the opportunity to follow a business model. And we believe at Lightbridge Academy in what we call the circle of care with the child in the middle. So we're able to delight and surprise that child. We're able to give that parent's peace of mind. We're able to employ people in the community and give them purpose in caring for young children. And for franchisees, they're able to have something where they're being happy about what they're doing. Many people come from a corporate industry and decide they'd like to be their own business owner. And so it very clearly goes along with what you said. They feel more healthy because they have some time of their own and they can also work on their own rhythm and pace, and wealthy in the sense that through that great care and education and hard work comes a reasonable wage for them and their family, and often sometimes a legacy opportunity to pass that business on to their family. So it really does accomplish all those things.
So let me just mention let's use some statistics. So 17 schools in the corporate environment that are part of Lightbridge. How many franchisees at the moment?
We have sold over 100, and we have 60 franchisees that are open, 60 schools.
And these are all in New Jersey, in the United States, or they're throughout the country?
They're throughout the country, mostly up and down the East Coast. So North Carolina, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Manhattan, Brooklyn, upstate New York, Pennsylvania.
The East Coast, again, for people, remember, we have thank God, a worldwide audience. So, Google East Coast.
East Coast and hopping over to Texas. So we will make a national footprint. And so we're growing geographically right now, and are very, very pleased and very proud to be able to serve more families.
And I'm assuming, again, you know what assuming means, but I'm assuming that one of the benefits of Lightbridge is that in addition to the quality of the education, we're talking about relatively small classrooms. In other words, somewhere between 18 and 25 students per classroom.
It's even smaller than that. So Barry, if we're caring for infants, and we could be caring for babies, we may have just 1 to 3. So a teacher with 3 children, or 2 teachers with 8 children. So for toddlers, that might be 6 to 8. And for preschool, it's usually 1 to 10.
That's quite a wonderful ratio. And again, the people who go into education are almost always very dedicated towards the process and the outcome, as opposed to, well, I have to be a certain place, certain time, clock in, clock out. So the genius of education is you're getting people that are passionate and compassionate. They have both aspects to it. And they really have that goal, like you said, in this case, a legacy of a teacher seeing a student who may be, let's say, pick an age now, 11 years old, and now get the opportunity to have that student come back 10 years later and say, hi, Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so, look at where I am. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you. Does that happen?
Absolutely, it happens. Now, usually the 4 and 5-year-olds will remember their teachers. I know my own children remember their teachers at that age. Some of the younger ones, not so much. But we do have that opportunity where people are able to come back. But I think it's important to remember that the teachers who are doing this really care for young children and really enjoy what they're doing. And it's hard work. So when you talk about a ratio of 1 to 4, if you can imagine 4 infants, sometimes even 4 people is not enough for 4 children. So yes. It's a difficult job, and one that the people that we do work with do so well. I want to go back to your comment about leadership before. One of the things that we really believe at Lightbridge Academy, and in a typical organization, you'll see at the top, the CEO and then the C-suite and VPs and kind of cascading down. In our particular business model, we would see the teachers on those front lines. And then what we like to do at Lightbridge Academy is turn that organizational structure upside down. So you'll see me at the bottom and everyone else who's in our home office. And our job—
Let me interrupt for a moment, just so everybody understands. It's not because she likes being on the bottom. She's the CEO. She's inverting. So the CEO is the foundational level. She's on the bottom, not because she's on the bottom.
Because it's our responsibility to be servant leaders, is to care for and support the people who are doing the hard work every day and interacting with each child. We talked about you and I as adults interacting, but we know through research that the brain is actually developed by the way that humans interact with children, by the way they speak with them and encourage them in that high-pitched and that exciting way that they talk to them, and the way that we provide an environment that increases that wonder. And all of those things are essential not only to the child's growth, but to the real growth of the brain. It's kind of like the hard drive of the computer. And so those gentle conversations and those laughs and those lullabies stimulate the development of neurons in a child's brain. That's how important the job is. And I often tell teachers who work in early childhood education, who are often considered inferior to public school teachers or inferior to or seen as babysitters or daycare workers, that they're actually what I call neurodevelopmental specialists. And it's a word that I made up, but they're neurodevelopmental specialists because they're developing the brains of tomorrow through every interaction that they have with young children. And that's quite a responsibility that they have. And it is my life dream and joy. And I've had that to be able to work with this age group. But for those people who are currently working with children, to know what a great difference they make in the lives of children every day.
Well, on that high note of being mad, making a difference, and using neurodevelopmental specialists, we're going to take a short break because we have sponsors that love us and we'd love you to support the sponsors. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Don't go away. Buckle up. There's more Gigi on the other side of this break.
All right. Sounds good.
Opportunity, what an opportunity. I'm going to use 2 4-letter words right now. Free gift, free gift. Yes, you can have a copy of my best-selling book, The Joy of Living, How to Slay Stress and Be Happy, the ebook version for absolutely free. All you have to do is send an email to me, Barry, Barry, at barryshore.com, and in the heading, the subject line, just write free gift. It's as easy as that. This is a life-changing, life-enhancing opportunity. Barry at barryshore.com. You'll be glad you did. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Free gift. Do it now. Take the action. Make it happen right now. Best wishes. Bye. Imagine the kind of place you would want to shop for your favorite fur baby pet. HonestPets.co. Well, you found it. HonestPets.co. Not .com, .co. This is your go-to spot for the best, the cleanest pet treats that exist anywhere on the planet. All of the brands go through a rigorous review to make sure they meet the high standards of cleanliness, health benefits, and naturalness. This site was started by a husband and wife team, and it's veteran-owned, and that care about pets, especially dogs and cats, and coming soon, bird treats. These are very nice young people who really care about making a difference because a portion of proceeds go to support veteran organizations with a focus on service dogs. This is the place where you want to go. You want to tell your friends this has the finest, yummiest, freshest, all-natural treats and stuff for your fur baby. So go there, honestpets.co. honestpets.co. Do it now.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking. She's always looking for and finding the good. We have good in abundance, and her name is wonderful Gigi. Runneth over with good. She's been sharing with us the idea of leadership, of training, of neurodevelopmental specialists with young children through this remarkable group of schools called Lightbridge Academy. And we've been talking about leadership. We want to talk about also developmental understanding of positive life. In other words, the whole point of education is not so much to know 2 + 2 is 4 or 5 or 6 or 8, whatever they call it these days. But the point is about developing the whole being, as you said, and understanding and giving every single being the opportunity to live a positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant life. So let's talk about positive life from you, wonderful Gigi, CEO on the bottom of Lightbridge Academy. How does that come through in what you do in your role?
So I think it starts with leading by example. So it's what I do and not necessarily what I say, the actions that I take. And I think that's extremely important. I think making time to develop really good relationships with people professionally and personally to the point that they feel comfortable with that. And I think it's helping people to be inspired to be the best that they can be. So in leadership or supervision, I often see that you can be the boss where you have to tell people what to do. And in certain things that we do at Lightbridge, we have to tell people because these are state regulations and they have to be followed. Or we might have to manage something. You might have to be the manager. So things have to be cleaned a certain amount of times a day. But a true leader inspires people beyond what they even see in themselves. And I had an incredible mentor who since passed away, who gave me my first opportunity to speak with him. His name is Jim Greenman, and to write an article with him. I didn't see a writer in me. I didn't see a speaker in me. He saw that in me. And he took me alongside of what he had done. And then I added on to that. And so while I've been a speaker, a teacher of children for many, many years, I think my role now is a teacher of adults. And I think that teacher is one who provides appropriate expectations, one who encourages, one who cares deeply. And caring deeply about someone, Barry, is not just caring enough to tell you, wow, that was great, but being able to tell you, you know what? I know that wasn't your intention in the way you spoke to that person, but this is how that person felt. So let's think about how we could say that in a different way next time. And so I think that inspiring of people, that encouragement, that helping people get out of their comfort zone. John Maxwell, not myself, said that, be in your gift zone and be out of your comfort zone. And so that positivity is getting up every day, being excited for what you do, knowing that work is work. I mean, work is not getting my nails done. Work is not going to the movie with my family. Work is work. And sometimes it's hard, but on most days, you have to ask yourself, regardless of what job you do I genuinely and do I generally like what I'm doing? Do I want to get up and do this every day? And those are the people that we want at Lightbridge Academy. We want people who are happy. We want people who are excited. We want people who are nurturing and caring and loving. And if that's something that comes hard for you, but you want to work on it, we'd love to help you. If that's something that comes easy for you, then you can be an even greater role model for other people. If it's not something that fits into what you're doing right now, then it's probably not a good fit for you.
Right. So Gigi works with what we call, we meaning Gigi and myself and other people, the law of attraction. She's not rushing after people. She's being her, and Lightbridge Academy is attracting people. You're attracting like-minded in thought, in soul, and you want these people, like you mentioned, your mentor. This is really wonderful, and I think it's exemplary because it's what you said. You lead by example. It's the ability to not only say, I would like to be a writer. I want to be a public speaker. Okay, may you have those thoughts, but your mentor saw that.
Right.
Your mentor knew and uncovered. He, in this case, was like Michelangelo looking at that piece of marble, the famous story that the Michelangelo carves the David. Now, the David, interesting enough, is the most visited, I don't want to call it just a statue, we'll call it sculpture, in the entire world. In the world.
Wow.
David is the most visited sculpture in the world. And what did Michelangelo say about it? Because it was a piece of marble that was rejected. And he said, he looked at that piece of marble, and he said, I saw the David in there. All I had to do was remove the pieces around it, and it emerged. And that's what your mentor saw in you. And that's what you see now, thank God, in others. That you see somebody who is an author, like I mentioned. Gigi's published 18 books. I've written a number of books, I haven't published all of them. So has published 18 books. Hello, she's an author. She's a speaker. She's on television. She's on my podcast. Amazing. I mean, the ability to go out and go beyond yourself. So it's interesting you speak about uncomfortable, because my latest book is called The Joy of Living, How to Slay Stress and Be Happy. And I'm happy to tell you, Gigi, that we have a couple who has underwritten the distribution of 100,000 copies of the book.
That's great.
And it's $14.95. They're underwritten it, and we give it away free all over the world. And we're giving out tens of thousands of copies, thank God, every month. I don't know what happens when they hit 100,000. The reason I mention it is because it's called the 11 Strategies for Living in Joy Daily, no matter the circumstances. And I've been through certain of them. One of the strategies is called Get Uncomfortable.
Yes.
And we're not talking about putting a pebble in your shoe and walking around all day. We're talking about out of your comfort zone, like I explained in the book, is learning how to brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand, just to create new neural pathways and to make yourself conscious, because the conscious lived life is the greatest life of all.
I am so aligned with that, Barry. I believe in parking in different places when you go to the grocery, and coming at a different entrance of the mall, and answering the phone with the other ear, and all those kinds of things that just kind of, listen, routine is great. And it's especially important for children. It makes us feel safe and comfortable. And and you need a safe and comfortable place to springboard into your miracles. But at the same time, you need enough to be able to push out. You'll see, if you watch a toddler and the mother or caretaker, you'll see a toddler come to the mom and then run off to do something and come back. Right. And so we always have to be pushing ourselves to be uncomfortable. I call it the sweaty hand feeling, because that's what happens to me, is that I have to just be a little bit uncomfortable. And I was talking to someone recently who did some speaking, whom I had encouraged as a mentor, and was very, very proud of her. And she said, "Oh, she's so nervous." And I said, "I'm always nervous." I said, "The day that I'm not nervous is the day that I need to stop, because I need to be nervous, because I need to care enough about the people that I'm speaking with for them to recognize that this is their time. Their time is precious. You can't buy time. If I could buy any time, I'd buy time, but you can't." And so how we use it and how we act and how we interact is so important. And I just think that being able, as you indicated, to help people to be positive is important. And to be, people often call me, Pollyannish like. Yeah,
I'm glad. Hi, Pollyannish.
But I'm okay with that, because I do believe that, you talked about smiling. I mean, we know that serotonin levels, when I smile like this, and just a fake smile even, is that serotonin levels are being produced in my brain. And when I'm scared of things, if I smile, which is counterintuitive to being scared or frustrated or stressful or anxious, is that feeling might follow. So I'm going to act happy and hope happy follows, even when sometimes I'm not.
It does. And it's, I want to move into a quick question. Our time is just, by the way, you might enjoy this acronym for time. You ready?
I am.
Thinking it's miraculous every day.
Yes.
Okay, here's a quick question for you, wonderful Gigi. Let's discuss an idea called having it all, because it's a driver for people, especially in the United States. We're driven people. We're moving. I want to have it all. Is that a healthy, unhealthy, a doable situation? How do you approach having it all?
So I think when most people think of having it all, they think of the happy, the healthy, and the very financially secure, probably to a point where you probably wouldn't have to work. If I were that financially secure, which I'm not, I don't think I'd stop working. I love to work. So I think that it's understanding, what is it that you really want to have, and how do you make a life so that you can have that? So what's important to me is my faith, my family, and my job. And it comes in that order. And so if I focus my time and energy on that, and the way that I do that is crazy, Barry, is that I use my calendar to do it. And I use numbers to do it. So, for example, if I'm going to make sure that I send a thank you card every week to someone, a handwritten one, that's one. That's 52 I will have done. That's more than 0, right? That I make sure that I call my mom at least twice a week. So it's putting kind of data around family to make sure that I'm spending time. And what it really requires for me is, and I'll encourage parents to do this, and they're not really going to like for me to say this or hear this, but it's really to put your cell phone down, to put down some of the digital things. And believe me, I love all the technology, and I believe technology brings us closer together. And at Lightbridge Academy, we have a million different ways, from cameras to e-communication tools for communication. But at the same time, I just read an article this morning that if you are off your technology for just 3 days, your eyesight changes, your state of mind changes, the way that you look at the world changes, your ability to memorize detail changes. And so I think that if you use the time you have wisely, and for me, that's actually saying I'm going to have coffee with a friend at 1 o'clock on this day, or that I'm going to spend this morning, I call them innings and outings. They're kind of like belly buttons. So I'm going to have an inning during one quadrant of the weekend. So I split the weekends into 4 quadrants. An inning is where I just sit and then read and stay in my pajamas and hang out. And an outing doesn't have to be expensive for a family. Maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's going to the park. Maybe it's the library. But whatever that is that if you start to get doing those things, they become habits. And habits become ways of life, and ways of life achieve goals.
That's why Gigi is on the Joy of Living podcast. I urge everybody, anything and everything you want to know about Gigi and Lightbridge Academy, just go to my website, www.whatawonderfulworld.barryshore.com. Go to www.barryshore.com and you'll see everything about Gigi, about Lightbridge Academy, because it's making a shift. Remember that F, making a shift in perspective in the world, really educating kids to be adults, to be responsible, to be loving, caring, purposeful, powerful, pleasant. We just have a few more minutes, and I'm only sorry to say that we have only a few more minutes at this moment. And I want to just emphasize one piece that you did mention. It's lead by example. I have a friend who became a mentor, and he said we were walking home one day from something, and I mentioned something to him, and he said the following words to me. You ready?
Yes.
Do, say nothing. Do, say nothing. I was interacting with somebody else, and I wanted to teach the other person something. He said, just do, say nothing. Because oftentimes, like you mentioned, the best way to lead by example is by example.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You just said it, the quadrants, this, innings, outings. It's so beautiful, Gigi, what you're sharing with us. And I just want to say to you, thank you.
Thank you.
We have 3 quick questions for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Number 1, will you come back again?
I would love to.
Oh, thank you. Number 2, you have 80 seconds only to answer this question.
Okay.
What is your most fervent desire?
To have lived a life where I made a difference and I was remembered for being a kind and compassionate person.
That is a fervent desire. And number 3, may I give you a hug in front of 372,819 people around the world?
I would love it.
Okay, well, let me tell you what HUG stands for. You ready?
Yeah.
Heartfelt, unlimited giving. Heartfelt, unlimited giving. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to emphasize again, this show is the Joy of Living podcast. It's not about Gigi's wonderful, amazing being she is. And it's not even about Barry Shore's fabulous fellow that he is. It's about you, YOU, becoming the best you possible. Because when you're the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony. As we said, you create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world because you're using the three fundamentals of life. Number one, your life has purpose, as we've heard from Gigi today. Number two, you go mad, you go make a difference, as you heard from Gigi today. And number three, to unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms like WWW, what a wonderful world. When you use these processes, you become happier, healthier, and wealthier. I guarantee it. Or your money back. Double your money back. And then when you do that, you can smile. Now, smile, remember, is one of the most beautiful acronyms that you ever internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life, because it stands for seeing miracles in life every day. As my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. Create the kind of world you want to live in, causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. As Gigi's taught us, be a neural developmental specialist. And remember, the 6 most important words in your life: choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Use 4-letter words. Remember, we live in the world of positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. So the 4-letter words we use are love, life, hope, grow, free, gift, play, pray, swim, work. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. FU, capital N, capital S. So after the show, see your family and friends, point your finger, say, F you, everybody. But remember to add right away, capital N and capital M. Say, what do you do with that from? Barry Shore, the joy of living, had on wonderful Gigi. And you begin to talk about all the things that we discussed today with Lightbridge Academy and what Gigi brings to the world. And remember to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day, consciously and conscientiously, from now and the rest of your life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks stands for to harmonize and network kindness. Everybody you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind always. Kind stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. So wonderful, Gigi. Again, a huge thank you. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this brief outro, and I'll speak to you in just a moment. Make it a great one, everybody. Let's have a blessing, actually, from Gigi and Barry. The blessing is, go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. One moment.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.